Hello, friends. Welcome to the Cold Warper. My name is Lee. So once again, I've decided to do a live on YouTube instead of recording. This is averaging right at 20 minutes, and I've done it 5 times, and it hasn't recorded with the device that I use to record. I can see up now that on going straight to YouTube Studio and doing this as a live, which will record automatically, that I'm 22 seconds in. So it looks like it's recording. So anyhow, I just want to share with you some thoughts today. Hello, Tofu. um, so I just want to share some thoughts with you that a couple of things have happened that I just want to share because, gosh, there's so much going on and people are adding to it unnecessarily. And I am. Hello, Tracy. I am so concerned that with all of the pressures that we coming in, that there's just too much and people are going to break, and we can't have that. So I wanted to talk a little bit about today. I'd like to talk just a little bit about a philosophy of St. Thomas Aquinas and how it applies to us in social media, and how we can maybe calm or alleviate. Hello, Mitch. Uh, Hopefully, this won't be more than half an hour, to be honest with you. But I just want to, warn some people about some things, and then give you some clues on some things you can do to alleviate some of your fears that are being instilled by people who don't know what they're talking about here on social media. So let me start off with one of my favorite songs, and this is 1968. I was junior in high school, senior in high school, junior, and but it was Simon and Garfunkel, and they came out with a song called "The Boxer." And the last two lines of the first stanza are, "Man hears what he wants to hear and disregards the rest," and that is so true. Because quite often people don't listen to all of the facts. We'll take something out of context. We'll take something and build it into something that it isn't. We mishear something, we misquote something, and then we use that as an ideology. And so we need to avoid doing that. We need to make sure that we're putting things in context. Biblically speaking, quite often people, hi, Pat. No, I can believe it. And thank you very much because this was an unscheduled. I'm having problems getting things to record. And hello, Little Lone Prepper. So because I'm having problems to recording things, so I'm just going live, and then maybe we can get things out that way because this is going to be about a 20-minute one. But anyhow, um, the other one was about that same time in 1968. We had on Thursday nights at 9 o'clock. We had and then this kind of competed at times with Star Trek, this great fantastic TV show. But there was Rowan and Martin's Laugh-In, and they closed with all these different characters going through these different boxes with one-line things. Really funny. Right before that, we had a philosophy lesson, and it was always taught to us by Edith Ann, who was played by Lily Tomlin. And Edith Ann dressed up as a toddler and sat in this humongous rocking chair, and she would tell us the truth, the philosophical truth. And so one of the philosophical truths that Edith Ann taught me that I remember to this day is, I have never told a lie in my life, but I do know how to create the truth, and that's the truth. And so, Lily Tomlin gave us that people create the truth, and that is so common here on YouTube, especially. People create the truth, whether it's to self-aggrandize, which means to make themselves look good, or to make people think that they have some knowledge that they need to seek in order to get more people to follow them so that they can get money from watching their YouTube channel. I don't know. But anyhow, people create truths. Don't know why, but they do. And so we just kind of have to deal with that. So I want to give you two that from this spiritual. Hello, Dragon Slayer. Because every morning I do a little bit of time in prayer, and so part of my studies this morning ended up being Proverbs, and I've got all of these sources listed down in the comments below. So Proverbs 21:23, it says, "He who keeps his mouth and his tongue keeps himself out of trouble." And then Proverbs 23:7, it says, "As a man thinketh, so he is." So if you make a comment and you don't know what you're talking about, you can get in all kinds of big trouble, right? But the other part of that is, if you make a comment and don't know what you're talking about, and people see that, people are going to know you're full of poo-poo. And so if you're going to make a comment that's untruthful, as a man thinketh, so he is, then we judge you to be an untruthful person. How is that? Hello, Mad Shad. Welcome. And so those are just some thoughts I want you to think about. I would also like for you to think of G.K. Chesterton. So let me get his quote up here. It's on a Word document that I have here. And it says, "The reformer is always right about what's wrong, but the reformer is often wrong about what is right." So we see a lot of people demanding change. And yes, there are some bad things that are going on and they need to be changed. But you know what? The reformers don't always get it right in what they want to change it to. So, there is some police abuse out there. It's not what the media would have you believe, but it is out there. In one case is too many. And so, we've built up this big defund the police, Black Lives Matter, and everything else. So we're exaggerating how bad it is and not keeping it in perspective. But at the same time, and I wholeheartedly agree, one instance deserves change. But in the instance that we've most recently seen, we know that there's going to, or we don't know, we believe, we have faith that there's going to be justice served. We believe right now that the 5 officers have had charges filed against them, that 2 of the EMTs are possibly going to undergo dereliction of duty charges, which is a negligent death charge. We believe that is going to happen. So then we can take a look at G.K. Chesterton. And I told you about that, didn't I? I think I did. I gave you his quote already. I've got my notes here of what I want to talk about. And it says, G.K. Chesterton says, "It is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows." And so the corollary to that from Will Rogers is that it's not what a man knows that gets him in trouble. It's what he thinks he knows that isn't so. So between G.K. Chesterton and Will Rogers, what we find is there is a whole bunch of people out there who come up with things and say things, and they don't know what they're talking about. And they scare you because they're trying to look big, my belief. They're trying to, build themselves up, and they scare you, and that's wrong. They shouldn't. So what I want to ask you to do is, if somebody says something kind of scary and they say something authoritatively, do me a favor, go to their YouTube channel, go to the About, click on it, and see if in their biography there's anything there that says this person has a semblance of knowledge in what they're talking about. And if they don't, ignore them. Just, don't pay any attention to them, because there's all kinds of self-acclaimed experts out there who don't know what they're talking about. And that's just pure reality. So let me give you what St. Thomas Aquinas says. St. Thomas Aquinas says that there's 3 phases. Okay, the first phase is knowledge. So in order to have knowledge, you have to personally interact or personally observe, feel, smell, taste. Your senses have to be involved. Okay, so I know that this is a MacBook. Okay, I know that that's a UV size circular light. I know that I have a plug-in microphone that I'm using. Those are things that I know. I believe that this is getting out via YouTube to a big group of people because I'm seeing their names appear here as commenters. So that's a belief, not a knowledge. I haven't personally interacted with these people. We are not sitting across from each other, smiling at each other, talking to each other, hearing each other. That would be knowledge. Right now, all I have is belief that this is them making these comments in my channel. Okay. So let me give you another example. Hello, my mother Spark. I believe that we're on a globe. I believe that we live on a sphere called Earth. Okay. Now, I've seen all kinds of pictures. I've seen replicas of the Earth in a globe form. I've seen maps. I've seen videos. But those are all beliefs because I have not personally had the experience of seeing that globe, of seeing that sphere from a perspective other than here on Earth, looking out over the ocean and seeing a little bit of a spherical horizon. Okay. So, based upon that, I have a high preponderance of faith that my belief may be true, but I don't know for sure. The people who know for sure are the people who have been up in space and have seen it and gone around it. They know that this is Earth and Earth is a globe. I have a belief that what they have given me is true. Okay. So that's the difference between knowledge and belief. Now let's go to the third one. The third one is faith. And that's what St. Thomas Aquinas teaches us. And that third one is, do we have experiences? And based upon those experiences or events of the past, we can, with some assurance, predict what is going to happen in the future. Okay. So let me give you an example. After 39 wonderful years, I have faith that my wife is going to have a wonderful dinner for me this evening. Okay. Because in the past, unless I was on an assignment somewhere else or out of town, that's been, or we've agreed to go out to dinner, that has been the case. So I have this history that I'm building upon, that I have faith that she's going to deliver a good dinner this evening. Now, I believe that that's true because I can sit right here and I can see right over there that there's a crock pot going. So I believe that that dinner is going to be good because I can see it from here, but I still haven't tasted it. But you know what? I snuck over and took a taste. And because I took a taste, now I know I'm having a fantastic dinner this evening. So that's the difference among knowledge, belief, and faith. Okay, so each one has its own separate thing. And I'm sorry I'm not keeping up with chat. I want to get through this and I'll go back to chat and see if I can answer any questions or anything else. I really apologize for that. So let me give you 4 examples. And then I want to get into a live from Angry Prepper's channel last night. These are going to be down in the comments. I put them down in the comments below already as well. So quite often we misquote things or take things out of context. And people don't do research. And so one of the ones you're going to quite frequently see in a lot of prepper channels is all this comments about Red Dawn off to the side. So remember, 21 years Army as an intelligence analyst working against the Soviet Union / Russians. So first thing you have to do is you have to say, do they have the troops? Yes, it appears, I believe, that they have a couple airborne divisions who are capable of dropping in on us. I also believe that they have a couple of Marine divisions that are capable of landing on our shores. So once we come to that belief, then we have to go to the next one and say, do they have the capability of delivering those troops to our shores? So you have to go in and take a look. Do they have enough AN-12s? Does the AN-12 Cub have the range to drop those troops? Or will it sink because it ran out of fuel halfway across the Pacific? Well, if it's going to sink because it ran out of fuel, do they have air-to-air refuelers who are capable of refueling it halfway across the ocean? Okay, so they come across the ocean. Didn't get shot down by any of our allies crossing the ocean. Didn't get shot down by any of our naval assets. There were no F-16s, F-15s, F-22s, or anything else available. There were no anti-aircraft missiles, Patriot anti-aircraft missiles available to shoot down the airplanes as they approached our coast. So 100% of those troops arrived without encountering any resistance whatsoever. They can probably land 1 division. Typically, in attack mode, you want to have 3-to-1, preferably 5-to-1 odds. There's a division sitting right there in where they're going to be landing, that closest place they could land. So it's going to be 1-to-1 odds. The defenders have the preference. They won't be there. The other thing is they're going to need resupplies. But remember those airplanes? They're going to crash land unless they take an airport because they had to be refueled in order to make it all the way. How are they going to get back to bring the reinforcements? Now, let's take a second instance, and that is their Marines and their landing craft. Now, remember, one of the Alligator-class landing craft was sunk in the Black Sea. So all of this analysis that I did was prior to that being sunk. If we take a look at all of their oceanic-capable landing craft, they can get enough for one division of Marines to come across the ocean and land on our coast, provided that they make it past Japan, provided they make it past the Philippines, provided that they make it past the U.S. Navy, provided that all these provisions, then they have one division. On our West Coast, we have a total of 3 divisions. If you consider all of them, whoa, we've got an ice storm going on here, and that was a power flux. So we could be losing power here shortly. I don't know if even we lost electricity and I'm on home battery power now or not. That could have been that transition. But anyhow, so Red Dawn, in my professional opinion, is not going to happen. Okay, let's take number 2, wars and rumors of wars. You're going to see that quite often in comments. And so that's just one line out of Matthew 24. And you've got to go, there's probably about 30 lines that involve the end times. The very last one is critical. And the very last one says, these things will not happen until the gospel has been preached to the entire world. So that's the one that counts. Has the gospel been preached to the entire world? Then we worry about all that other stuff about wars and rumors of wars. But until that happens, we don't have to worry about that. So that the minute you see somebody quoting that as something in chat, you can disclaim them. You can say that they don't know what they're talking about. They're taking one sentence and have not read the entire chapter. And so chances are they don't know what they're talking about. Let's take the next one. And the next one is that we should be scared because there is a Russian trawler off the coast of Hawaii, and that Russian trawler is collecting intelligence pre-attack. I did that for 21 years, okay? I was in signals intelligence. I was a Russian voice intercept operator. I was a Russian code breaker. That's the reason the government sent me to 2 years of Russian language school. Was so that I could listen to these guys and hear what they're doing. We've been doing it for a long time. So there are 2 links down below in the comments I want you to take a look at. In 1967, the USS Liberty was a U.S. SIGINT ship in the Mediterranean. We were listening in on the Egyptians, and I believe we were listening in on the Egyptians and the Israelis, and the Six-Day War happened. The Israelis strafed the ship. We believe it was an accident. But we had a ship that was shot at by the Israelis collecting signals intelligence, doing the exact same thing the Russians are doing in Hawaii right now. Did it indicate we were going to attack either one of those? No, we were just collecting intelligence. The second one, and I have a link down below, Captain Lloyd Booker. I don't know if you remember him or not. He was the captain of the USS Pueblo, January 1968. We believe it was in international waters. The only thing it had was 250 caliber machine guns to defend itself. It was attacked by North Korean ships, seized. The entire crew was taken captive. They spent about a year in captivity in North Korea. The AGER-2 USS Pueblo, a Banner-class ship, was taken captive, and it is still possessed by the North Koreans. So we've been doing this. There's 2 cases where we were doing it in 1967, 1968. They've been doing it to us now for over 50, almost 60 years. So it's nothing that's predictive of anything that is imminent. So now I want to talk real quick about Jason and the angry prepper in his live last night. Jason is, in my opinion, one of the most realistic, unbiased, what's the word I'm looking for? Trustworthy, unbiased person that you're going to find as far as giving information on his channel. Now, he does have a New York vocabulary. Let me tell you that right now. But I think that his heart's in the right place. I think his information is the right place. And I think he gives us as unbiased of a predicament or explanation about events as is possible. We all have our filters. He has his, we have ours. It's all based upon where we come from, what we know, etc. He is an ex-U.S. Or New York City Fire Department employee, an EMT. Love him. So he was talking about the Memphis case last night, and he was trying to be there's the word I'm looking for, as objective as possible. And so he was saying, this is what we believe based upon the video. And off in the chat, there was all these people, and there were some, obvious BLM people from their handle, from what they were calling themselves, saying, well, there was no reason to pull him over in the first place. No law was broken. Those are beliefs. Those are perceptions. Those are jaded perceptions. That's not knowledge. Even the video that we see, because it could have been manipulated. The video is a belief, but that's as close as we're going to get to knowledge about what happened. Okay, when we say that the poor person, the victim, had this in his mind, or this is what he was thinking, or this is what he was trying to do, that is perception. That is a belief. That is not knowledge. We don't know what was in his mind. We don't know what he was trying to do. Likewise, we are trying to put things into the minds of the police officers, and we're saying this is what they were thinking or what they were doing. We don't know. Those are all perceptions. And so Jason was trying to stay away from those perceptions. I applaud him for that. In the comments over to the side, don't get involved in that. These people won't know the truth when it is shown to them. So when you have jaded perception, what happens is facts don't matter, only feelings. And unfortunately, that's where we are in society right now, is feelings have more weight than do facts. And so that's an unfortunate thing, but that's where we are. So with those people as well, and what I want to tell all of you is take a look at who is saying what. Take a look at their background and ask yourself, do they have any knowledge about the subject that they're bringing forth to show us? And if they do, then we can have some credibility as far as believing them. If they don't, then discredit them. Don't worry about what they're saying, because odds are they're just saying it to get some attention from you, and it's not truthful, and it's not something that we should worry about. So that's kind of the message I wanted to share with you. Please subscribe to Jason the Angry Prepper. Fantastic channel. I think he does as good a job as is possible, being objective, being critical thinking, and giving you what is basically unbiased information. So let me go back through the comments here and see if there's anything I need to pick up on. Thank you all for being here. It was unannounced. I'm doing this only because my computer, for some reason, is not recording. And so this was unannounced, and the number of people who are here, thank you so much. I am just totally, I didn't really expect to see more than 2 or 3. Mad Shad, greetings from the Erie Coast. Well, welcome. That tells me probably Ohio-ish area. Let me see. And Pat Butler and Mitch J and Hello Tofu is just phenomenal. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing the links of the people. I encourage everybody here to support each other, and please subscribe to everybody here. My Mother Spark. Let's support each other. Let's get this to where we can build a community online where we are trying to share the truth and things that are correct with ourselves. So Mitch J says he always says to the self-acclaimed experts, yada, yada, yada. Yep, I can understand that. Mad Shad says, be advised, my channel is just the rantings of a madman, nothing helpful whatsoever. It gives us perspective, Mad Shad. So that's kind of, we need to keep that in perspective. So Mad Shad says he's personally traveled around the world, keyword around, so he knows it's round. Okay, good. I've been to Asia and I've been to Europe, but I still don't see the globe. I may have been around, but for all I know, it's flat right now. I have no proof that it's round. I believe it's round, but I have no proof. Well, the same way we go from the living room to the kitchen. Okay. So that's what I would say. And I do not support the flat earthers. I believe they're wrong. But, if we take the description I gave you, the definition of terms, because I haven't been out and actually seen the globe myself, I have no pure proof that it is a globe. I have knowledge, I have belief that it is a globe. And I think that belief is probably 99.99% correct. I just don't have the personal knowledge that it is. So that's where we get into definitions and let me see. So Red Scout says he's just a bloke with mental health issues. Aren't we all? Aren't we all? So my mother Spark is still here with us. Hello to all the amazing friends here from Rip Curl Readiness. Thank you for being here. Yes, much love and prayers to everybody. Maybe those folks with their turn signal on all the time, maybe they're going to be around the world to the right, Mad Shad says. Okay, let me see here if there's anything else. And Stacy Kitten says, everyone thinks the earth is round, but it's concave. Well, concave is a form of round. It's just the earth, if it's a sphere, okay, fits into a concave universe because the earth has to be concave in order to accept that sphere. Okay. Let me see here. Daniel's calendar is the only real difference between past events and current events. It is understandable that many believers see every evil or potential evil as prophetic. Yes. And so we have to take a look. And one of the things that we say in my belief system is that we have to take things into consideration of when it was and the cultural things that existed at that time. And I talked about that a little bit on last night's live. So for example, the definition of a queen. And so if you go back to David, and David married Bathsheba, she was one of, I think, 200 wives and 300 concubines. So which of the wives was the queen? And so Bathsheba, we find in Samuel, had to request an audience to talk to David in the king's chambers. So she was not the queen because she had to request an audience. But then when Solomon became king after David's death, she didn't have to request an audience. She could walk in. So why is that? Well, it's because in Jewish tradition, the mother of the king is the queen. So Samuel's mother, Bathsheba, was the queen because Samuel also had 200 or 300 wives and concubines. And so that is the tradition that the mother of the king is the queen, which is Revelation 12:1. We see the lady dressed in white with 12 stars adorning her and everything else, and believe that is Mary, the queen of heaven, because the queen is the mother of God, Jesus. So that's kind of taking that Jewish tradition. And remember, the apostles were all Jews, as was Jesus, and looking at that. So there are a lot of things we have to take it into. What were the facts? What was the customs and traditions of that time, and interpret it that way? So the same thing, another big one in Daniel and Jeremiah's and Isaiah's time is remember that they were speaking from captivity. And so we had the Assyrian captivity, then we had the Babylonian, then we had, the Persian, and that's when they were sent back in three different waves. Babylonian, they were sent back in three waves too. The Persians, then the Greeks, and then the Romans. So those were the five major conquest of Israel and their occupations. And so a lot of times when they're talking about things, they're talking about, the Persian or a Babylonian or other crews, other empires and things that happened. So Auslander Info, that's great. Auslander Info says he's 100% in agreement with Red. How can one love God if he doesn't love his brother he can physically see and touch? Which is basically what is said in James 2, verses 14 through 24, and in Matthew 25. So both of those support exactly what Auslander Info is talking about and what Red's talking about. So Dragon Slayer, according to the definition that I gave, that is, then you now believe that the Earth is a sphere. You don't know because you haven't experienced being out and looking at it as a globe. All you have are replicas of the knowledge. So you may have 99.99% confidence in your belief that it's true, but according to the definition I gave, and that's what we're using, you don't have knowledge that it is a globe. And so Auslander, that's also the definition of faith. My mother spark, I have no idea. That makes no sense to me at all. Why do they have so many wives and concubines? But that was one of the things that was foretold when during the Judges, the Jews said that they wanted a king, and God told them the bad thing about kings was they want too many wives and too many horses. And then what happens? We have Saul, then we have David, then we have Solomon, then the kingdom splits, and you have Jeroboam and Rehoboam and the kings from there on. And that was one of the things that was common with all of them. They had too many wives and too many horses. Exactly what God predicted through the prophets. So, okay. So that's kind of what I wanted to share with you, was just, check out when you see comments, check out the veracity, whether or not you think that comment is true. Check out the person and see if the person has any knowledge about which they speak. Check out, don't just accept things at face value. Research them. As the Red Dawn scenario, you can go in, you can do a search. What is the organization of a Russian airborne division? What's their table of organization equipment? How much can fit on an AN-12 Cub? So you can take a look at their Air Force and say, how many aircraft do they have? How many landing ships do they have? What will they hold? You can do that research, and you can say, you know what? That Red Dawn theory doesn't hold water, okay? So you can do that kind of research. And on the things I've talked about, they're down below. If somebody says, this is true, research it yourself, automatically discard them. Because now they're telling you things that they want you to go research instead of providing the proof. If you want me to, I can put in the biblical comments down below of the number of wives that David and Solomon had, and where Bathsheba had to request an audience with David but didn't with Solomon. But anyhow, if you want me to, if anybody requests, I can find those for you and put them in down below. So that's it for today. All I want to do is say, remember, we're all in this together. So please be kind, polite, and respectful to each other, especially in the chat. We're all here so we can make it to the other side, and we want to do that together. So please be kind. And with that, remember, we're all in this together so we can come out the other side together. Take care. Bye-bye. Now to find out how to stop, there we go, in stream.